So this is quite a local fishery to us. It's a heavily stocked commercial, lots and lots of fish in all the lakes. And whenever there's an island like this, basically a donut, sometimes people sort of tend to set up a lane in there and then drag a net all the way around when they haven't got sufficient kit. But in my experience, the way to do it is to block a channel off, which is what we've done with this. This is only a 75 metre net, to just block 2 channels off basically, and then do 100 metre sweep, 100 metre sweep, 100 metre sweep. And so you're dragging them to the banks in separate sections, because if you try and drag too far with one net and you hit a snag or tons and tons of carp in one go and the net's not adequate, then they'll just blow the net. So instead of doing that, you take your time, shoot more nets. And obviously on a bigger scale, when we go to France in February, we're doing a very big lake, same sort of thing, with basically a donut, big island in the middle. So instead of 100 metre sections, we'll be doing 200 metre sections and blocking it off the lanes and then moving around. So you take a section out, grade the fish, sort the fish out, put the big ones back, or whatever you want back, take anything out you want out, move to other lakes. Any big carp are going in there, tiny ones are being disposed of, but obviously all quality silvers and everything, so hopefully we'll be able to show you some fish. But yeah, it's basically how we do it. But what you wouldn't do, what I wouldn't do, is put a net across there and then try and drag into it, because it's just too much room for error. So yeah, even though we've got 300 metres of net here, we will use them all, whether or not it be for a lane or to net fishing. And all the mesh we're using today is 8mm, which is very fine, so you'll catch really tiny fish, which is what we're trying to get out. It's the little oxygen thieves in the summer, and it's all very well stocking thousands of fish, but if you don't allow for growth and reproduction for 1 year, that's why a lot of the time, if you dig a brand new lake, even if you stock it quite heavily like I do here, normally that first initial year when it's a brand new lake, if it's a brand new empty lake and you've stocked it from one source and responsibly, it will fish really well. There's very little vegetation around the margins here, which hopefully will be addressed, which will massively help long term reduce algae and stuff like that. But it's very difficult to get people to invest in things like plants when not just here, it's fairly standard, especially on match fisheries. They don't really want to invest in anything other than tons and tons of fish, but then that comes with its own pitfalls, mainly just trying to keep them alive in the summer when it's really really hot. And like we've sort of proved time and time again, you don't actually need as many fish as you think you need to have consistently good fishing. But yeah, sunny day, apparently this is the nicest day of the week, so we'll land this net and show you some fish. There's a few ornamentals. The beauty of the finer mesh, you're really nailing these little ones, which just become a problem. So we can grade through any decent fish to take out, and this is every year you'll get this massive recruitment of tiny fish.
I've just seen a couple of.
And that's what we're here to do, is to try and limit the amount of tinies, of which there are going to be thousands of pounds by the end of the week. But like I say, you can't emphasise how important it is to have these fine mesh, deep fine mesh nets. Are a winner. There's loads of carp under there. But what I do is, and unfortunately there's some ornamentals, but there's yeah, so you just skim the small ones off the top, like taking the cream off the milk, rather than go in and oh look. It's much more easy, sensible, safe to just skim the small ones off the top every time and just keep going.
Yeah, I bummed about it. Nothing out of the ordinary, it's fine
And in this net here we'll go in the other section over there. Already caught a shed load, so it's a good start to the day. Had about the same weight again. It's all good. Lots of fish. Graded some more big ones into the carp lake. Loads of tiny silvers. It's working well now. We're just working back down. This is the third sweep. Obviously the fish haven't been able to escape because we're methodically working it around. We've put 2 barriers in down there. It's just one net, and we'll land that last that little section, but that was literally so that from here you've got 100 there, 100 there, 100 here, so you're leapfrogging the nets. You know, we've got loads and loads of other nets, but these are the best ones to use for this job, simply because, like I keep saying, they're the finer mesh, and then we're releasing all the fish that are going back that we want to put back in the lake, taking out any big carp. We've moved 7 or 8 good doubles into the pretty lake at the back there, and then F1s, carp, tench, some quality roach and bream have gone back in, and then we're just removing as many tinies as we can. Just putting a track in, that's why it's big plant machinery everywhere. And this one, we'll do exactly the same thing on here. Like I say, we've got enough kit, we could do it all in one go, each side, but that's not what we're here to do, simply because we won't catch the volume of tinies. So we'll keep doing sections. And again, some people might put a stop net across each end and then drag a net all the way down here, and I'd never do that. I just wouldn't. You'd only do that if you didn't have enough kit, basically. And the reason I wouldn't do that is because if you're investing all that time dragging a net down this whole channel here, which I've seen it happen, a lot of people, that's what they do, and they pull it too fast and they pull an inadequate net and too big a mesh. You're just not going to get the results you want. Not consistently. Anyone can be lucky on a really cold day, you can land on a load of fish, but for consistency you want to be doing lots and lots of sweeps with as much net as you can, and just swamp the lake with fine mesh net and keep going. Just keep going and keep going, and then you'll just, like I say, in here there could easily be 1,500 pound weight of tinies in here, like the bins of tiny sort of 2-3 inch fish, and they're clogging up the lake. You know, they're using oxygen, they're using space, and just to get them out, the anglers don't catch them. It's just part of it, you know. That's what happens if you end up with too many of those tiny little fish and you have an oxygen crash. Unfortunately, it's normally the bigger fish you lose when that happens. And this is why we're doing it, to get these out. There's a lot. This is the 3rd sweep we've done. Working our way around. There's loads of carp, but there's a lot of these tinies. So we're keeping on top of these little ones, and then grading these back, you end up with a much better quality load of roach. And if you keep doing it, these get bigger. So basically the whole point of today is to remove as many tiny fish as we can, and then this is the result. Like, we're grading all these back, and we're going to do this all week, and this is obviously a quality bin of silvers, and we encourage people to do this. Get as many tiny fish out of your lakes as you can, because during the hot summers they're really clogging the water up. People who've got this idea of just leave everything, it'll all be fine. No, it won't. You're going to lose fish, so you have to make a dent in your stock, and you don't want to be losing fish like this. Absolutely pristine roach, loads of them. So to make their lives a lot better and make them live longer, and you know, your anglers really want to catch these, and there's lots and lots of them, but unfortunately when you're trying to fish, the oxygen takes a battering, or the water quality is poor. Part of the reason is because the sheer volume of tiny fish in all these lakes. So yeah, this is what it's all about, is creating more and more quality fish in these venues so that the anglers catch more. That's what it's all about. Today we're doing Sycamore Lake, which is long. Same story here. Like I said, some people will try and drag it all the way down there. I think that's an error. Of course you'll catch fish, but the best way to do it, shoot 100, block it off and just keep leapfrogging. That's how I'm going to do it anyway. I think we'll probably have to do 8 or 10 sweeps today. That's why we're here early. It's about 7:15. But yeah, there's a lot of fish. We've done 4 sweeps already. It's just like a massive long donutty thing, and obviously we're sectioning it all up so the fish can't get behind us, and just using the 100-metre sections at a time and just keep leapfrogging each other with the net. So we've done 4 sweeps already, and we've got another 5 to do, I expect. We've already put back conservatively 1,900 pounds weight of mixed carp, F1s, loads of quality roach. It's been raining, so I haven't really done any video, but yeah, loads of good roach and loads of carp as well. So yeah, we've, like I say, conservatively, it might be over 2,000, but we've put back £500 in 2 of the sweeps, £700 in 1 of the sweeps, £200 in 1 of the sweeps, and we're just removing stacks of tiny little, mainly perch, tiny little perch. So now we're on this sort of home straight. So the boys have just loaded one of the nets back up. As you can see, I've set this net up here. Fish can't get past that, secured it both sides. That's the last little sweep we'll do. And we've probably got another 2 to do here, one up there, and then the boat's ready to shoot. So that, I believe, is the most effective way to do these sort of lakes. Take it out in chunks. So yeah, we'll try and show you some of the fish. Lots of impressive silvers, certainly. Gandalf's learning to row there. There he is. Good skills. So wherever possible, when you're trying to catch lots of small fish, try and do this with my gloves on, probably going to go wrong. Like I say, we're only using the small boat because it's only narrow and we're only using about 300 metres of net every day. But little things like all these tiny fish, they'll be in all this, the roots. So a lot of, if you look at all the roots of all this stuff here, and the tinies just sit and hide under that, obviously, can't blame them. So when you're trying to catch as many tinies as you can, you're never going to catch them all. So as you can see, I'm crawling under here, this, with the boat, and just kicking out as much as I can, because we're predominantly here to try and reduce the load of tiny silvers that have bred really well in here. And then obviously you get this stuff hanging in the trees. There's lots of that. Some very fortuitous casting. There is a little thing on your reel called a line clip. But yeah, so then you walk down, splash the margins, and you do feel fish, especially when it's really, really, really mild like it is now. So I'm just going along, and as I'm shooting the net out of the boat, dropping it into slightly deeper water, I'm also kicking the margins and scaring as many small. Another float there. But yeah, it all helps, you know. It's easy just to shoot the net, but every time you can get out and scare a few more into the net. Like I say, unless you drain it. If you drain this by half, you could really nail the silvers. You're just trying to keep on top of them so that in the spring when it warms up again, another float there, you're doing as much as you can, really, because that's what we're here to do. It's working well. These lakes aren't very old, so they're very easy to net. It's not too much in the way of snags, not too much in the way of weeds. Oh, bits of lead hanging off about there. But yeah, it's all okay. We've probably got another 4 sweeps to do to get us down there, I expect. But yeah, it's all these little things that help you catch more fish. Anyone can just chuck a net around a pond and catch some. It's not hard. It's all the little different bits and pieces you put the effort in, get more fish. A bit like when you're fishing, really. So you can see we're putting this side in, and then beyond that you've got another 100 metres there, and beyond that you've got another one. So it's just a case of leapfrogging as you go. So we've been totaling up the tallies of what we've been putting back. We've got we've got 1, 2, 3 more sweeps to do, and so far we've put back conservatively 2,800 pound weight of mixed F1's carp, roach predominantly, and we've got a couple more sweeps to do, so we'll have put back over 3,000 pounds weight of fish in this pond, which is a lot of fish. It's not a tiny lake, but it's a lot of fish. But that is, with these match venues, what they think you need to keep stocking and stocking and stocking. But with this lake in particular, if all we did, I just said to the owners, I said, if you do the trees on the island, because this side struggles a lot in the summer, move the aerators in the middle instead of them being right on the edge up there. Don't put any more fish in. It would fish better this coming year than it did last year. And I'd put money on that if you didn't put any more fish in now, because we've removed a hell of a lot of tinies, which has made space. And yeah, just a little bit of other jobs and it would fish a lot better. My only fear is I might put loads more in, but that isn't what I do to make the fishing better, because there's loads of fish. There's loads of fish in all these lakes. There really is. So as I've been walking down here, this is the most amount of carp. This probably 60-metre stretch here. I got out the boat to walk it down here and kick the margins, and yeah, serious amounts of carp down there. And they are moving, but a lot of them, it's still so mild, they're still really active. So you're never going to get them all out, but like I say, we're trying to catch tinies, but it's nice to, I'm trying to kick the small fish out of the way. I say that and people go, oh, you're kicking the fish. It's not quite how it works, but they are getting out of the way, and some will definitely be in the net, but some are just so tight under there. They won't move. You think that they, you know, a lot of anglers will think, oh, as soon as you go anywhere near them, they move. They don't do that. It's all about energy and energy sort of expenditure and recovery. So I always say it's a bit like a pheasant in a field, you know, quite often they'll sit right there quiet, not wanting to use energy until you get right on them, and then they'll take off. It's much the same as a fish when there were temperatures like this. So yeah, it's very active in here, so I've kicked them out as best I can so I'm out of breath, and then I'm just going to pull this across. But yeah, I've already put back a phenomenal amount of fish. How many, what sweep is this, 6, 7? You know when it's mild, when the fish that are inside a net are just balling up in the margin. It's all coloured water, I don't know if you can see that, but it's very, very active. This whole side is very, very active. So that's a conservative, what we've put back. It's easy that. I'm always very realistic with the weights, because everyone bands numbers around going, oh, we caught 10 tonne of fish today, but that's, we've put at least that back. Yeah, it's quite a crazy stock of fish. And when you've got this amount of fish and it gets hot in the summer, something's normally got to give. Like I say, it's you're always on a knife edge. I totally get these commercial match fisheries. They've got to hold decent heads of fish to try and please the people that fish them. But at the same time, you've got to be careful, because the last thing you want is a load of mortality caused by overstocking, which we do see a lot. But the guys here have got plans for a lot more lakes to be dug, which means you can start using the small fish, the juvenile fish from these, to stock into those lakes to stop them having to keep buying fish all the time. Unfortunately, some anglers have sort of quite a naive attitude. Oh, you need new fresh fish. You physically can't put any more in here, really. There's so many. There's a £6,000 weight of fish in this lake. I'm putting a life on the fact we've caught, well, including what we've took out, we've caught £4,500 so far. We've still got 2 swims to do. And then we don't catch them all, no one catches them all, especially when the lakes are full like this. But it's been good, and we're doing what we need to do. And the sun's out at the moment, but I think tomorrow's video will be a bit different. It's maybe 60-mile-an-hour winds. So we're already massively in awe of the volumes of fish we'd caught, and then this is over a tonne in this one sweep. This is amazing, just an amazing amount of fish. But at the same time, it did struggle in the summer at some periods because it was too hot and there was too many fish. And that is what people have to realise. It's like, you don't put pressure on fishery owners to keep buying fish, because believe me, this can't have any more fish in it. So we're taking fish out to create space and improve the water quality. It's unbelievable stocking of fish. So if anyone goes and fishes matches and moans and says, I think we could do with a few more, fisheries like this, these guys bend over backwards to put tons and tons of fish in the lakes. So it will be patchy. In fact, if anglers stopped moaning so much, fishing would improve, because they wouldn't be under pressure to put more in, and they would catch more fish, believe it or not, most of the time. This is the AE support crew. This is Jack and Chesney, and they're adorable. They're a right pair, inseparable. And that's dogs. And they just sit there all day looking cute like that. It's Wednesday now. We are doing, I think this is called Elm Lake. But we are, I've got a cold now. Horrible minging cold. Started last night, which is annoying. Normally I get it at Christmas, but still, never mind. Yeah, we caught an enormous amount of fish yesterday. Which answers the question why it wasn't fishing all consistently all summer. There's a huge volume of fish in the lake we did, Sycamore. But it does emphasise, you know, your fishery management has to be bang on. It's not the stocking fish isn't fishery management as far as I'm concerned. It's looking after the fish that are in the lake. So we've pointed out a few things they can do, like position the aerators sensibly. At the moment they're just in the edge, allowing more air on by sorting the trees on the islands out. Lots of marginal planting, which is ultimately going to help in future, and just not put any more fish in. And you know, we did take a good, I don't know how many pounds weight we took out of tiny little juveniles, stunted little perch, thousands and tens of thousands of little perch. So those things help, but that space that you create is filled up very, very quickly. So you have to start doing these things. We work for quite a lot of angling clubs who have got plenty of fish in their lakes, but then they have a match and then the angler says, oh, you need more fish in there. So the knee-jerk reaction is to put more fish in. And places like this, the commercial side of it, they've spent a huge amount of money on fish and they put them in, and then if the anglers don't catch anything, they blame the fisher owner for not having enough fish, which, like I always say, is like me going to a golf course and moaning to the golf club that I can't get a hole in one, so they need to make the course easier. It's never the fact that there's not enough fish in these lakes. It really isn't. It's the fact that the reason that they're not catching the fish normally is down to water quality. So if you've got loads and loads of fish, this place will fish better when it's colder, because the cold water holds more oxygen, and as it gets colder, when you've got a high density of fish, you'll get the bite times during the day will be longer. But in the summer, when it's boiling hot and you've got that amount of fish around, there's going to be a lot of times when they're not feeding, and it doesn't matter what bait or rigs or nonsense you're using, you're not going to catch them. And their windows of opportunities for feeding are reduced. But that said, I'm hoping they're going to follow through on what they say they're going to do, because it's got loads of potential, this place. There's more lakes being dug, huge volumes of fish, obviously, but it is an out-and-out commercial match fishery, you know. And the good thing with them is they're not pretending to be something they're not. It's an out-and-out commercial match fishery. The potential's massive. They've got a lot of good ideas moving forward. I just hope that they can just sort of curb the fish buying. Really, they're good guys, and they've learned from mistakes in the past. But these lakes, like I said to them, you know, it's hard. It's really difficult to run these sort of lakes with today's expectations of modern match angling, and which I think are quite unrealistic. But in fairness, you know, yesterday we caught and put back. We put back over 7,000 pounds weight of fish, and they did look okay, you know. But it's cooler now. In the summer, you wouldn't touch it in the, obviously, and you wouldn't do anything like that in the summer netting wise. But they did lose a few in the summer because they've got sheer volumes of fish. But when it's not fishing, it's not because there's not enough fish. And it does annoy me when anglers put pressure on fishery owners and say, oh, you need more fish, because trust me, we net a lot of lakes, and 99% of the time the fish are there. There's other reasons why you're not catching them. So yeah, we're going to get the kit on and do this one now, which apparently has got loads of fish in as well. But yeah, we'll see. So there's our first sleep on this lake. There are a lot bigger carp in there. This make a cracking specimen lake, really. It's not the biggest lake on site acreage, but it's most open. What we have got is a little useful bin of, there's loads of quality silver going back in. Nice bream, loads of roach, lots of little tension here, which is nice. Lots of little carp come through. Lots of little carp come through. And then these breams, what we're going to do with these, we're going to put these in there's a load of little stock ponds over there. So we're just going to put those, only about that amount, one bin will do, because it's only a smallish pond, but they'll do alright in there. Like I say, you can turn a bin of fish like that into £600-700 in a few months, no problem at all. So yeah, it's all good. So obviously there's tons of carp here, but there's also a serious amount. Well, we caught over £1,000 weight of roach like this in Sycamore yesterday, genuinely did. And there's loads of tension here, which are lovely. Some big bream, plenty of fish. Nice. If you look here, so we're just shooting 100 metres at a time, working our way around. Lovely windy day. Where that net is, that is in line with the wind. If you look in front, like either side of the net, windy this side, flat the other side. And that is just the island, and the trees are blocking out for the wind going that way. And that's on a nice windy day like this. You can't beat wind, and it's just because it's moving the water around, turning the bottom over, moving it around. And obviously during the summer you get less of that, which is when your aerators come into play. That's why you have to have your aerators out in the middle of the lake. When you've got high densities of fish like this and you need aeration, you want them out in the water. I don't think they're doing nowhere near as good as they're just wedged in the bank. But yeah, it's interesting that. Stop for a cup of coffee. Minging I am. Proper cold I've got. Oh, never mind. Quite deep water here. Hey. Boys are in the back. Yeah, we're catching plenty of fish. It's a bit minging down there. But we're catching plenty of fish, which is the main thing. Matches going on around us, sort of working our way around the anglers and their poles, but it's alright, we'll get done. 3 more sweeps today. So there's about 500 pound of 1 to 2 inch bream in this net, which is good, sort of trying it out. There's shed loads of them. Just grading out the bigger fish to start with, and then we'll just hoik all these out, put them in one of the other little ponds ready to grow on. And we've got a big one there. It's quite amazing amount of little fish. Can all be used in one of the other ponds. It's 99%, well 90% tiny skimmers. There's lots of roach, mainly bream, small tench. This is just one of the sweeps. I mean, this is the most tiny bream we caught. Good. It's Wednesday done. Stinking cold. Still. Boys are just putting the last bits of kit on the truck. And then we're back tomorrow to do, can't remember the name of the pond, the smallest pond. It's about acre and a bit or something. But yeah, lots of fishing here today. We've made the space by removing about 500 or 600 pounds of 2-inch bream today. When the fish first went in, they had lots of space because they didn't put too many in initially. And the bream that came in did really well last year, bred like mad. And we've just removed 500 pound of fish, at least 500 pound, maybe more, of bream this size. We put some back, put plenty back. You never catch them all. But it's just like, say, cropping exercise. So we put plenty back, but that's critical space to take. You know, they do like to stock these lakes heavily, but it's important if you're doing that to create plenty of space. So by removing 500 or 600 pound of bits today and put them in stock ponds to grow on for another year. But yeah, it's very, very good. They know they need to address a few issues around the fishery regarding vegetation. There's a real lack of any useful vegetation on the whole site. Positioning of aerators, bit of tree work, but apart from that, you know, they bend over backwards to please the match anglers, putting tracks round so you can park behind your peg. Everyone can park behind a peg, and it's kind of a, you know, as far as commercial match fishers go, it could be really right up there with, well, I say right up there with them. You know what I mean? It's interesting, but there's loads of fish. I mean, these lakes have all got loads of fish in, and at the moment they look okay. They've had issues with the carp in the past, but that's inevitable when you're dealing with this sheer volumes of fish. But I'm hoping they're learning that you don't, you know, you've got to be realistic. It's no good having tons and tons of fish if no one's catching them, and if they're not getting caught, they're not any good for you. You know, in this sort of environment, they're hang on. So basically, you're better off having fish that are getting caught. You know, this is commercial match fishing. This is like the peak of high stocking densities and that sort of thing. But that doesn't mean you need to
you know, animal welfare needs to be improving all the time with these sort of venues. We know that, and all we can do is advise people and say, look, you know, if you're going to hold on to this amount of big fish or this number of fish per acre in these sort of high density waters, you need to, you know, limit your keep nets and limit your catches. Really, you don't want people catching 500-600 pound. It's ridiculous. On any given day, one of these venues will throw up that sort of weight. I mean, the sheer volumes of fish are here, but you know, you've got to look after the fish, and best practice across the board, you know, regarding fishery management and angling as well. The anglers are as responsible as anything. I feel terrible today. I need to go home and have a bath. Oh dear. And some soup or something. Soup and bread, that sounds awesome. But yeah, it's one of those things, these lakes. Love them or hate them, they're here. And you know, ones like this, the guys have got good intentions of how to run it in future. And hopefully we can help them, guide them in the right direction. But yeah, it's huge amounts of fish, thousands and thousands of pounds weight of fish in each lake. And one of the nice things here is it is getting plenty of wind on it. You know, it's quite a new site, so there's loads of trees around, but hopefully they'll plant a load of vegetation and take on board what we're saying, and it could go from strength to strength. You know, there's loads of carp here, but what's really impressive is the silverfish. Tons. We caught over £1,000 of roach in, oh Christ, whatever it's called, late yesterday, and plenty in here as well. Big roach, big perch, plenty of tench, and loads and loads of bream. So yeah, it's been very good. We've got one more to do tomorrow, and then I'm going to probably have to dive for a couple of days, I think. 6 o'clock now, and it's Thursday, and I feel terrible. Still, if I had a normal boring office job, I probably wouldn't go in, because I'd go, oh, can't be bothered because I hate my job. But I love my job, so I'm about to get in the truck and go and get wet and windy. Wind warning. Whatever. Bring it on. Phenomenal amount of little fish. There's hundreds and hundreds of pounds weight of these tinies, and you only get them with these nets and a bit of determination. Tens of thousands. Obviously, we grade all these back and just keep skimming off the tinies. And this is ultimately what is one of the massive differences you can make to your fishery. Something else worth noting, when you corral all the fish up in a net like this and you've got horrendous amounts of juveniles, quite often you'll see this. Little headless fish. And that is simply because there's so many in there, so many of these tinies, that the carp are forced to take them into their mouth sometimes, and then they reach the back of the phalangeals and they get chomped. So quite often when there's loads of tinies like this, you'll see little headless fish. It's just where, I mean, they can eat them, but they won't be eating them in there. I don't know if you can pick that out. There's tens of thousands of them. So this sweep's predominantly about removing those, hundreds of pounds of those, grading all the quality back.
The only price I've seen him caught from is there from about 5 times.
If you can see how many fish are in here.
What you got to trip over that, Andrew?
Slippery.
First 10 pounds. You wonder what you know about. It's probably fishy whips, somewhere. Whips in a pink tank. I said it would be.
Quality silvers again. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Grade out the quality stuff. Which there's a lot of, you know, lots of to be fair, in all these lakes, there is a lot of decent roach, decent bream, decent perch. And they'll only get better now, hopefully. Little fish for these beautiful roach. Lots and lots of roach. Lots of nice roach. Ignore the F1s. Perch. Loads of roach. Nice, look at them roach, boy. Lovely.
And that's it, we are done. Boys just cleaning out all the kit. I've got a stinking cold and I'm going to go home and yeah, try and warm up. Because next week is a busy one. Wales, Devizes and North, yeah, sort of right bang in the centre of Wales Monday. A couple of days in Devizes and then Thursday we're in North Wales. But we've caught a phenomenal amount of fish this week. And I hope that it's opened their eyes a bit and they can move forward and develop this into what it could be, really. So yeah, it's been great, and hopefully you've taken something out of this video apart from my nonsense that that you can use in your own fishery management.